Hey, it's me again, Sebastian here from Schub, and today I brought Thilo with me, with whom I'm working on that project, and we want to bring you on to the latest where we are with our UiPath agency, and also give you a preview what's next. Thilo, we started out by learning that it's actually hard to maintain UiPath installation, and maybe tell for people that just joining in us, where did you first discover that?
Actually from personal usage, so that we had a few projects where we actually used UiPath, and I noticed that some things were pretty good, but some things were tedious as hell. Some things that I believed were already solved in the normal agentic coding world. So this is where the initial thought came from. Wait, if this is already solved for agentic coding, why can't we solve this for UiPath?
Yeah, right. I think that was the idea we started, and then you put it into the wiki, and it drilled us on.
Yeah.
I think we initially identified 3 target groups, right? That we wanted to approach and validate our. Which ones did we?
I think we first thought about like big enterprises that have like, I don't know, 1,000 UiPath flows across 33 countries.
Yeah.
Then we had like more or less devs, like something that's helpful
devs as developers that would develop API flows.
Like just, that doesn't matter how many flows, just like everyone could use it. And the other part would be agencies, like people who are actually helping people use UiPath. I guess this would be summarizing.
And I think we started interviewing them all, right?
Yeah, so we first started with agencies, because at the beginning we were thinking maybe we could automate everything and build an agency ourselves. Was very helpful to understand the industry, but we also noticed that those people who would be an interesting target group to actually buy something from us never responded. So we only could talk to people who tried to sell us something as well.
I think that was a learning. That's easy to contact those because they want to sell you something, right? And you can learn.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to, you could same day three book meetings, very easy to quickly understand the industry, but also then it was a big red flag that only those responded and no one else.
Yeah. And so you try to sell, reach out to other agencies, say, hey, we have this product, really helpful, or what was that approach?
Both. Okay. So obviously, I'm just like learning about UiPath and building this and that. Then they were quite more open to talk. But as soon as like, we know the industry and we want to sell you something, no one responded, no one were interested.
Okay. And so this was very clear to you to move on from that. Yeah. And did you email or how did you get in touch with them?
What worked pretty good is LinkedIn, for especially when we started reaching out to companies and potential buyers.
That was the second step, right?
Okay, first for the agencies, what worked pretty good is just to look them up. There are big registers for agencies. They put quite a lot of effort to be found. So that wouldn't be a problem.
And then we moved on. I think with that learning and having understood something of the industry, we moved on to companies like the big enterprise that do this in-house. And whom did you target there, and how did you get hold of them?
So the first thing was that we need to find companies that actually use UiPath. That was actually quite easy. You can just look up for RPA developer, or nowadays it's AI automation developers on LinkedIn with open job positions, and so you know immediately they are using UiPath. And this is actually also a great opener for a conversation, like to use to say, I've seen this, I've seen that. And another angle that worked pretty good is to actually look at who went to UiPath related events. Which is also a great opener.
I think we have some competitions announced or people nominated.
They have all kinds of awards for anything, and this is also a great opener to talk to people. Hey, I've seen you talk, or I've seen you've been at this event, blah blah blah.
And how did you come up with these things?
Many of these things were in conversation with Claude in our LLM wiki. I mean, more or less any conversation or transcript is persisted in there. Also certain pivots from the maybe we do an agency to we do UI developer tooling.
Can we look at that? Do you have it?
Sure. So maybe if we have a look at how we initiated the pivot from this agency targeted thingy is not working so well, so I just started a conversation with Claude that he should get familiar again with the UiPath project, just to gather the needed context, added a lot of information about the idea that I had, and the really interesting part was that Claude were able to go through past conversations. And I remember that I had 2 conversations with devs, and I thought that there were some overlapping pain points where it was really helpful to outline where the devs actually had the same, exactly independent from each other described pain. Also, there were points where they.
I think we should just jump in for people to understand. I think the third target group we reached out with developers that actually had the problem, not necessarily being the buyer. And I think that's important for everyone out there to understand. There's people that use it and that pay for it, basically.
I mean, when we pivoted to enterprises, this was clearly one of the biggest things that we noticed. So I talked to developers initially to just get a confirmation on, okay, that guy is doing it on a day-to-day basis. Does he really feel the pain?
Yeah.
And it's not like a made-up thing that someone thought is a problem. So that was why we focused at the beginning on devs, and obviously it's somewhat related to dev tooling, but the target group was still enterprises.
Okay, cool. And how did you find out? Who did you find out where to talk to? Like, how did that go?
One of the things that I used were also Claude or our LLM wiki, where I asked for novel angles to target people, and I was ideally I was suggested a few angles which were related to those that we already did. So new ways to search for certain jobs on LinkedIn, to search for certain events, especially in the DACH region. And the good thing is it was able to, after that I confirmed it, to actually do the research for me, find those people and create a huge table in Notion where I could track just everyone, even with a somewhat prepared message what I could write them.
And I think another channel also for people out there is you found also GitHub. Then I think it helped you find issues on GitHub or people complained about these things, and you could reach out.
That was worked really good. Almost 100% response rate. Sometimes calls booked on the same day is crawling with Claude through GitHub issues that are related to what we are doing, and then directly messaging these people on their company mail. Hey, I've seen your issue, working on a solution, want to talk. Works perfectly well.
Yeah.
Obviously, those are not always the people who have a budget who could then approve something. But initially, to confirm that this is probably worth pursuing was very helpful.
Yeah. I think throughout that we were all very motivated. I think the pivot gave us new thought. What's the real problem for people?
Yeah.
So we interviewed this other group, and from these interviews, you got a hunch we could actually do a pivot and we get another understanding of the core problem. Yeah. Want to share how you came up with this hunch to pivot?
Yeah. So one thing that I did after feeding all the transcripts to our LLM wiki was to ask Claude to outline where our calls overlapped with the devs. Where do they have the same pain points? Yeah. Independently from each other, pointed out, and it was actually quite helpful. There were quite a lot of reasons where they or pain points where they overlapped, especially after, with a little bit back and forth. Something that I still had in my head. Well, maybe this is also an angle which worked quite good, and it also helped me then find a new angle to outline how this could be productized, how could this look like, how could we do this into an AI help desk.
Right. And so I think we found, just for folks out there, we found basically a problem now where we were curious, are people are willing to pay. So we knew it's a problem, but is it a problem people would pay a lot for? Yeah. And I think that was our second challenge here. And what we started is reaching out to people and try to schedule interviews and pitch this or sell it basically. And I think that's super important that you don't do lots of interviews on like how was your world, but like try to sell. This is only how you get validation. And I think what's super interesting is our people who are curious about how does our sales material look like, right? What would we show? So maybe you can walk me through how a typical call looked like and what did you show them? So
obviously the call was first structured in a way where they most often describe the pain themselves. This is called MARM test, and it worked pretty well to actually be.
So there's this book, MARM test.
Yeah.
Go have a read.
To build up confidence in that it's actually a thing. And then
you want to describe briefly the MARM test?
The MARM test is mostly about not directly describing a problem, because people want to be nice and always confirm you. So it's better to ask them to guide them through the last incident that they had with UiPath, and then ask them, where did your time go? What would you fix? Blah, blah. And simply
so they discover themselves.
A simple question like this could already make a big difference. And one thing that we did is as fast as possible to walk them through something that's something that they can actually get a hold of. So we created a small pitch deck, more or less, where we outlined what we found out, some certain things that we noticed.
Don't be too fast so people see it.
So this more or less should reflect the pull framework. This is something that
the book from Rob, soon to become our book from
Rob Snyder, that we really like. We think it's a very, very effective way to prove that it's maybe a pain point, but is it a pain point that people are actually willing to pay for? We moved then quite quickly to the what are we trying to solve here? Get conviction from our interview partner there, obviously.
And here it's basically showing them what the old world, or confirming, is it with you like this? Yeah. This could be the new world, and then I think on the next slide, you can actually see how it feels.
One thing that was always a big topic is, if you talk to enterprises, they have a lot of headaches, so it's better to be proactive with that, be the first one before they even notice. We have already thought of everything. Obviously put some numbers behind that.
And I think that's a good trick you're pulling here also, to trigger people to think about and say, hey, is it 200K with you? Oh, no, I mean, our engineers are more expensive. Or, that you get numbers, and this helps you later in building the pitch to them. Say, hey, with a single incident, if it just happens once per year, it's 300K.
Yeah.
How about?
100%. And those numbers obviously depend on the industry. The 280K are especially for banks and healthcare services. This is what's.
And I think for folks out there, you don't need to be completely right? That's a trigger point.
Exactly. But also a great discussion starter. So they actually think about it. And obviously you have to tell something about yourself. But at some point,
this is the important slide.
We wanted to put a number behind it. Okay, no worries. We can do it fast. Find out if it's a good thing, but you have to pay us something.
Okay, and the typically fear people have if you show them, or you have to show that slide, they're like, people kill me for asking for money, or how did it go when you showed that slide?
Most people were not surprised. Some of them even were quickly about to ask, what do you want from us from that, because. We're not doing this for fun, obviously. We want to help people, but there is a price tag behind it, and if this is already enough to churn people, you're probably not having a big pain point.
I think that this is the important reason why this slide exists. We need to know, is it a good idea with a business, or just a good idea? Or a good problem.
Exactly.
And how many interviews did you do with showing that slide?
I think I ended up with 5 or 6, where we ended up actually talking about it. 2 of which then also agreed to a POC, which at the end had other reasons why it wasn't like something that we pursued, but
so they said that price tag is okay, right?
Totally. That was never, like, the 3K were never a question.
So I think that's also important for you. Pricing, don't worry too much of pricing. It's important to pay. Another bumper, we actually didn't, or we decided not to go forward with the idea, even though I think we had 2 people that wanted to do a POC, and it sounded interesting, but why? Everything looked very promising. Even like the response rate were about 30% of people who actually messaged me after I sent them a message about, it's interesting, let's talk. It was very, very, very effective, much better than the agency approach. But we noticed that the initial invest to actually get something on the ground was huge, and
the sales cycles behind that afterwards were very long. So sometimes 6 months plus, with the uncertainty of not really closing a customer, and even some of the people that we talked to, especially with the POC, said I would totally do it, but the 6-month procurement process is even too tedious for me. So it's obviously there's a problem. Okay, but it's not important enough for you to go through a 6-month procurement process. Like it's not a price, but still like they didn't churn because of the price, but more because of the this is way too tedious. Okay, then the problem that we are trying to solve.
Oh yeah, and it shows that the problem is not big enough.
Exactly.
And I think that's the learning for all of you out there is. I mean, we pondered also on this like for 2 weeks now or something like, but how can we make it? Because it seemed we had something in our hands. I think now we're happy to have sort of stopped, which we just did a few days ago, is because there was no pull, there was no traction.
Exactly.
And I think you and we need that traction because it will only get harder.
We could check a few of his boxes, but the most important one we couldn't.
The hair is not on fire. And I think that's important even on enterprise where stuff takes longer, but you get that feel they're not pulling. That's what we do with this idea. I think that's also the joy or the not joy of ideation is we have to cut early. We're moving on to the next, and you'll get to learn soon. What are your takeaways and what could we do better next time?
I think I spent too much time at the beginning talking to devs because I was still in this, is it really a problem for them, blah, blah, blah. I could have moved much faster to the, no, I'm sure this is a problem. I want to say you something. One still has this hunch of, maybe this was coincidence and blah, blah, blah. But this could have been much more aggressive and straightforward. This would have saved us a few days, for sure. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways. What I really liked was how fast we pivoted from the agency idea to the dev tooling. This was really fast, I think. And
I think just for all the software people out there, you might recognize we never actually built the product. I mean, we had it working for us in a sort of a way, but really our idea was we only build if someone signs up. Because this sounds weird and maybe wrong, but it was wrong 5 years ago where building actually took you 3 months. But now it's a few days, so it's very different.
I think I spent like 3 hours just building a little bit of conviction that I think this is somewhat doable. What I'm selling, and I needed to like get a little bit more of understanding of what I'm actually selling. But after that, it was clear that it's doable. And if someone decides to do a POC with us, I'm sure that we would manage by then to have set something up.
Awesome. So we're pivoting to the next idea. Do ask us in the comments if you want to know anything, how we did it, want to have any of the learnings, and also follow us so you get the next update. What's the next idea, which we're already working on, and we have the first customer.